The mountains were a place she needed to visit, to find herself. And when she returned to the city, you could see the sun in her eyes, the wind in her hair, and the endless powder on her lips. I read this poem when I was 15 years old. I hadn't snowboarded or surfed at the time, but I just knew this poem appealed to me. Now, 18 years and 10 winter seasons snowboarding in a camper later, hopped on a sailboat and took off on one of the most adventurous trips of my life.
Suus is an ex-ski racer who organizes freeride trips.
Val lives in a ski town in Sweden.
Yvette is a ski patroller in Switzerland.
Every winter Beth is living in her camper. Four ladies and 4 different ways to build your life around snow. What can they learn from each other?
One of my favorite moments of the trip was realizing I'm actually doing this. I never had a plan in my life. I just loved going on the flow and creating a life where I had the time and freedom to make place for chances like this.
This week will be the last week freeriding before my life turns into summer, and I want to enjoy it to the max. I think with these girls that share my passion, it won't be a problem.
It felt great to meet Yvette and Suzanne, the 2 girls I hadn't met before. Because of our planning, WhatsApp conversations and video calls, it felt like we already knew each other for a very long time. It's hard to prepare for a trip like this, as there's so much to think about, like what to potentially bring, and the weather is so unpredictable that it's hard to do it 100% right. I was a bit nervous for this trip, as I normally always have Tim with me as our main guide. I will have to make decisions by myself now, together with the others, but I think it will be a great way for me to learn to trust my own knowledge and to trust myself. Let's see how that goes.
This is how I thought Norway would look like in May. Turns out I'm totally wrong. Wind and changeable conditions are what you would describe Norway as. First real day on the boat. Betje and I checked our plans and lines and decided it looks good. It is interesting to see the dynamic of the group, who does what. This sunny day started with a gift from Betje. She shared us a poem while sitting on the deck and with her feet hanging off the boat. This poem is close to her heart and describes her in a nutshell. It's about the joy she gets out of being in the mountains and bringing that joy back home and forward it to others. How much Betje loves being in the mountains and how much it brings her is unique. She wants others to be able to experience this kind of passion, love, and joy as well by bringing them along, hearing their stories, or tell others all about her adventures to inspire. There is this sparkle in her you don't see often.
Kijk, die gul die is ook.
I grew up being really down to earth and not let emotions in as much. But hearing a poem like this, or how much I can relate to Beth's story, in many ways is what has brought us to this trip.
Zie ik een lichtje flikkeren. Die is aan het flikkeren. Hallo.
Ja, anders wil ik ook best wel.
It made me realize to let those emotions in and enjoy every moment of it in any way. It's a shared passion that brings us so much that we want others to be able to experience it as well. Truth be told, it was also cold as hell, windy, and I had about 6 layers on, but it was all so worth it.
let me introduce the crew to you. First, we have our videographer. It's for you to judge during this movie, but he made some awesome stuff. He's also willing to be not only dragging all his camera equipment up to the mountains, but also stay on a boat with 5 women and only the male skipper. That brings me to Robin and Sammy. This inspiring couple lived on a boat for the last 5 years and in Norway for the last 2 winters. So they're pretty weatherproof and full of knowledge about the area and the best runs. And, maybe as important, Sammy makes the cakes and fresh bread in the onboard oven. They have the coffee ready in the morning and dinner in the evening.
Suze is the kind of girl that always keeps smiling, fierce and sharing opinion. You'll always know what her favorite line will be, skiing down.
Yvette looks tough on the outside, but so kind and gentle on the inside. Val, big fierce energy, happy vibes, so many life lessons to be learned from this one. Betje knows it all, always a mother-like figure and making sure everyone is happy.
During the ascents, I like that you can think a lot. It helps to be out there with girls that share a passion, but also have the same problems in the sport as I had. What I always keep on the back of my mind are 2 things. You're much stronger than you think, and if you can't beat fear, do it scared. These are 2 charms that really help me reach goals, especially in the last years of freeriding and living the life that is a bit different from the normal path. Big tip to create happiness: don't think that you have to do a certain path just because everyone says so. Just do your thing. I really enjoyed being on this adventure with these women. Of course, we're very different, another pace and personalities, but you have a shared passion. A passion that is reached through making our own path, because we're all born in the flatlands, yet we still make our freeride dreams reality. Bonds get strong really fast with a shared passion, especially when you're doing an adventure together.
I got the advice from a friend to check in with each other every day. We all agreed we are a good combination of flexible and open-minded girls, which is quite unique, I think. No irritations. Maybe we are all like this because we traveled a lot and all lived in campers. When you travel, you have to be ready to constantly adapt to new and changing situations.
Since we are here with a group of strong females, we have to make those plans, get that confidence, and use all of our knowledge. It's so cool and unique, we get to do this all together. When scouting lines with help from the captains, we do eventually make the choice whether it's okay for all of us. Is everyone comfortable with the route, distance, and height? We check the avalanche forecast, but we also check in with each other. How do we feel physically, but also emotionally? Checking in emotionally is so underrated. It makes or breaks your day.
Yesterday we did 2 tours, around 1,700 height meters in total. I had snow sticking onto my skis at some point, which made every step I took twice as heavy. I felt like stopping a few times, but luckily giving up is not in my nature. What really helped was the support of the girls, from sentences like "pain is just an emotion" to "you can do this, good job," and hilarious conversations through the walkie-talkies. It was probably the heaviest tour I've ever done, and I had to go really deep. However, I made it to the top, got a big needed hug, and literally cried from releasing all the build-up emotion. As heavy as it was though, I wouldn't want to have missed out. These are the moments that make you realize what you are capable of.
Gaat hij daar zo links een beetje dat vage bos in?
Finally felt a lot better today, full of energy to the top. Great after-ski drinks on the dock with the whole crew and amazing spaghetti by Robin and Sammy.
During our ski touring planning, I noticed the big advantage of being on a boat. You can spot our lines from the water really well. We noticed that from the third day, where we had a couple of options, but had to see it before we could really decide. I like the creative process of looking at a mountain, the scope lines, ascents and the descents. You have to find a balance between the group ability, amount of altitude possible, avalanche and glacier safety, the weather window, accessibility of the tour. The skippers helped us a lot in this process and they know the area. Sometimes we spent a couple of hours scoping a whole island for lines. Sometimes it wasn't possible to come on land with a dinghy, but we always found something else. We decided to avoid a glacier crossing and transfer a peninsula instead, using a pass. The Mencia would pick us up on the other side.
Sammy and Robin docked the boat and climbed up from the other side. Me and Beth decided to join them for an extra peek.
Alright, see you there.
Echt wat overleefd hier.
Ja.
The season is really coming to an end. The sticky snow led to some awkward situations.
Bij de boot.
After this big day out, we treated us with some well-deserved sauna time.
Morning, Val.
Goedemorgen, goedemorgen. Goedemorgen, zonneschijn.
Hoe laat is het?
Het is 3:30 's ochtends. We zijn er helemaal klaar voor. We hebben er goesting in.
Ja, wel, als je nu letterlijk je vinger naar boven houdt, daar gaan we echt letterlijk die flank gaan we doen.
Het is mooi licht. Het voelt als vroege ochtend. De oogjes zijn klein, maar het leven is fijn.
The last tour of our trip. Because there was a storm rolling in, we had to wake up at 3, but that's no problem with 24 hours of daylight.
Welkom to de club, Robin en Sammy. Iemand ook zijn manicure?
For this last tour, we were joined by our captains Sammy and Robin. It was the steepest ascent of the trip. We could finally put our crampons to use after dragging them around for the week.
Je ziet ook aan de linkerkant, die kant waar dus die windlip ook overheen is gegaan, daar zit je ook al een scheur. De sneeuw is echt kut hier. Dat is een stortbak.
I've learned from these girls a lot more than I thought I would. And yes, you also learn a lot quicker when you live on a 12-meter sailboat for 7 days. Privacy is out of the door, and it turns out communication is once again super important. Yes, we talk about boobs, our bodies, hair, nails, and all of it. The conversations happen at any time, during ski touring, changing, during dishes, or even when scouting lines. These conversations definitely qualify this trip as a female trip. And let's not forget about peeing situation. The amount of naked butts you will see, because yes, we do have to pee and have to pop a squat, will definitely make it a female trip.
I notice everyone is used to cleaning up after themselves because we all learned in life that makes a small space so much more bearable. Everyone is also helping each other out with getting things ready or, for example, hanging each other's stuff up to dry. And I must say that Robin and Sammy not only have such an amazing, cozy, beautiful boat they are sharing with us this week. They're also incredible hosts. From breakfast being ready on the table in the morning when we wake up, to sharing all their knowledge with us and always being open-minded to our plans, which are changing all the time. Because it's hard to predict what the weather will be like, or what the face we were interested in will look like in real life. They have made us feel straight at home with their delicious home-cooked meals, kindness, and adventurous hearts. We couldn't have wished for a better way to explore these fjords. A house that can literally sail from one island to the next, which can not only take you to the mountains you want to ski, but also lets you feel the wind in your hair, delicious food, a cozy bed, great company, and so much more. What more could you wish for in life? Thanks, girls, for always listening to each other's views, being open-minded, relaxed, and never saying no to a new adventure. We are a unique posse of women together, and it went so incredibly well. I can't wait to go on more adventures together. Thanks, Suus, for your toughness, never complaining, and inspiring us with your ridiculously strong mindset. Thanks, Betje, for your initiative in bringing us girls together on a trip, and thanks for your limitless kindness, looking into the terrain, and your hugs when I needed them. Thanks, Yvette, for being the best roommate ever, for sharing your impressive mountain and sailing knowledge with me, and for daring to be vulnerable. Thanks, Robin and Sammy, for being such an incredible host and making life on the boat feel so comfortable that it makes me want to go live on a boat. Thanks, Michiel, for being such a legend by going wherever we wanted to go, never complaining, and always full of energy. Thanks for sharing your ridiculously talented creative mind with us. And last but not least, I guess I can say thank you to myself for not giving up and for conquering these mountains, even when it was tough. Every step was worth it, that's for sure.